Okay, so let's do it once again. This is the second try of this one. This episode completely done on Apple hardware, with the small exception of the microphone, which has been bothering us for the start of the first the first retry. So I'm here from undisclosed location, and we're going to talk about traveling.
With moving or without moving?
Traveling with moving, unfortunately.
Okay.
So I'm not going to go into details where I am and what I'm doing here. Let's just say that I'm in a hotel room with a pretty standard Wi-Fi connection to the internet. I'm using my, let's talk about techniques. So I have my laptop, I have my iPhone, I have my AirPods, and I must say that traveling with this kind of kit and being able to actually record with it actually makes sense. The only thing that I had to actually bring with me was the microphone, and everything else is more or less here. And I would probably pass with AirPod microphones, so this would also work without the external microphone. But I didn't want to talk about this. I wanted to talk about something else. When was the last time you traveled?
It was 5 years ago.
Yes, me too. The thing is that this was before the coronavirus and all the insanity about it. And I must say that traveling outside EU has changed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I like the new world that we're living in.
Okay, in that respect. Okay.
So what I wanted to talk about is that actually you don't need to think about roaming anymore. You don't need to think about exchanging currencies. You don't need to think about anything else, because more or less we have become global.
Mm-hmm.
So I can exchange currencies using my Revolut. I can pay using my Revolut without actually having a credit card. I can use my phone or my watch. I can get pretty decent pricing on the roaming here by using eSIM.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, everything that I need is available online. I'm in a city that is covered by Volt, so I can actually order using my own Volt subscription from home. So basically, all the basic necessities, food, sleep, and the internet, are taken care of without me even thinking about it.
Sounds
I was
cool.
just thinking about how this was much different 5 or 6 years ago when we were last traveling and doing things like this.
Okay.
So I wanted to go with you. I wanted to go through the entire experience with you, and I wanted to talk about how this thing actually changed. Because do you
Okay.
remember when you had to go, I don't know, in, let's say, Germany? And even though they were in the EU, we had roaming charges. You couldn't rely on a mobile phone. You couldn't rely on having a local SIM because you weren't allowed to actually buy local SIM. Or if you were, you had to go through complicated things to buy it. You had to change the SIM inside your phone when you crossed the border. You had to exchange the money and so on. And then now nothing of this actually exists anymore.
Okay. I'm wondering if I like this or not, so you're going to have to sell me this a little bit more.
No. I'm just saying that the traveling has changed a bit. If you are equipped with a mobile phone and enough knowledge to travel, you basically don't need to over prepare when you are leaving the country you're from.
Okay.
In the EU, everything is going to work as it does at home. If you're outside of EU, inside Europe, this is going to be also pretty okay. So it's amazing how it changed. I don't need to think about money. I don't need to think about internet. I don't need to think about calls. I don't need to think about connections to services that they all regularly use. I don't even need to think about the food. So it's amazing how this has changed.
I would say that you're still missing some things, but okay. Now let me start with the first one. That's the most important one. Your internet is crappy.
Yes and no. Unfortunately, this is how it is. Internet is pretty much the standard for nowadays internet, I think, which means that I have something like 6 to 7 megabits from the hotel room, and this is something that we were pretty happy with. I don't know, a lifetime ago.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a continuous 5 megabit internet, this was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 10 years ago, but now it's, as you said, pretty crappy. And the reason is because we decided to saturate it with HD video both ways, and we're trying to record with audio, but this is just us.
Do you think that we are in charge of that situation, or is it something else?
I don't know. I think that this is also going to change. I think that we are going into the direction of universal roaming, and we are going into the direction of actually treating the internet the same way that we are treating the water. So it is going to be cheap and abundant if the tariffs don't get it.
Yeah, that's a topic for another day.
No, we are not going to go with tariffs because, to be completely honest, I was thinking about talking about world trade and the organization and
No.
the way that world trade works. But let me explain. What I'm missing and what I had a problem with is that I have absolutely zero idea what is going to happen in the next 10 seconds. So whatever I say is going to be probably completely false as soon as this episode is released.
That's also quite possible, yes.
So we have seen an unprecedented thing, but okay. So this was my start. I wanted to talk about how the traveling changes, but I see that you're not buying it. So
Nope, still not.
So ask me questions.
Okay, what was your experience, let's say, with the tickets and the airport? Let's start with that.
Zero tickets. I only had to check in. Tickets were just a PDF, and the PDF wasn't even needed. Everything was in the system already, so I just had to show up and show my ID. So this is something that has already changed. I got issued tickets, but I didn't see a single piece of paper until I arrived at the airport. I didn't have to identify myself. I just had to go to the proper check-in gate, and that was it.
Okay, what about the security checks?
Security checks were pretty decent. I must say that the most complicated security check was when I was leaving the country, not in the country that I was going to, but when I was leaving my native country, or Croatia. And the thing was that actually the guy at the airport was pretty interested. Why am I having so many computers and so much tech in my backpack?
Okay.
And this was the only thing that was actually out of the order. Everything was pretty much as I was expecting it was going to be.
You do realize that sounds ridiculous.
Why?
Why would it be a problem if you have two laptops, a camera, and a microphone? I don't understand that.
Okay, and an iPad and camera stand and probably 20 cables or so. But the thing is that people still don't realize that there are a couple of people who want to take their office basically with them wherever they leave, and this is both you and me. And I simply want to have everything that I probably need. So I have my spare mice, I have my microphone, I have my basically I have everything that I want to I want I will need in my backpack because I want to be able to actually record.
Okay, that sounds also quite reasonable. Did they stop you because of the batteries or something? I recently read about them changing the sizes for the suitcases or something.
I'm not aware of it. My suitcase was just a backpack, so it was working, and I didn't care about the suitcase anyway. The thing is that what I actually cared about was they are not doing spot checks anymore.
Okay.
Now they are actually checking everything.
Okay, elaborate.
So every bag was checked. Every backpack was checked. Everything was on the conveyor belt, and it's not just that you are just passing through the X-ray machine. It actually gets checked by the person.
Okay. Still
So-
sounds pretty standard to me.
Yes, it is standard, but it used to be that if nothing was interesting or nothing was suspicious, you didn't get checked other than just having your backpack scanned. Now they're actually checking every in each bag,
Okay.
which is fine.
It is.
I'm not saying that this is a problem. It's just that it changed a little bit.
Okay. Let's see. What about the arrival? Any problems there?
No. I must say that the only problem was the usual stuff about actually being a zillion people in the waiting line for the controls. But this is pretty regular. And when they saw where I'm coming from, and what I'm doing, and they just waved through. They didn't care. So this part was nice. The only thing that was actually impressive was that I got to drive in a taxi that had 530,000 kilometers on it, on the clock. So it was basically being held by good wishes and wishful thinking.
By a couple of springs and good wishes, huh?
Yes, and this is the thing that I'm going to keep repeating. I'm not going to hear anything about French cars anymore, because it was a Citroen,
Okay.
which by itself is amazing.
Okay. I'll let it slide this time.
Yes. Okay. It is that it was basically driving by voting. So the driver was pulling to the left, the road was pulling a little bit on the right, and then the entire vehicle went basically straight. But it's not that I was feeling like I'm in danger.
Okay.
I just was
You
amazed.
you were teleported back to when you were young. That's what happened.
Yes, but I was amazed that the car is still sticking together. So everything was a little bit out of whack, out of everything.
Out of whack.
Yes, it was just nothing was square anymore. So nothing was held like it should be held in a regular car.
Okay. Another question for you. What about
Yes.
what about? I mean, I've been to the city where you are at,
Yes.
in a different hotel though, but still.
Yes.
And compared to the last hotel where I stayed for the same purposes why you are in said city, your hotel room looks very, very, very nice.
Yes, room is very nice, and everything here is pretty okay. I'm going to go with this is one of the nicest stays that I had in the last probably 20 years. Mostly because the room itself is huge, and I have a few simple things that I need to do, and this is it. So there is not a lot of doing. It's just more talking than doing. So just the way I like it, basically.
Okay, a question
But let's
for you.
now.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay, go.
Yes. Go. No, you
No,
go.
you go. It's okay.
No, I wanted to switch topics because I wanted to talk about a little bit of Microsoft.
No. Wait a second. I have something before that.
Yes.
Are we discussing the reason why you are somewhere else?
Why not?
Okay.
Go ahead. You know the
Well,
reasons.
I'm not going to introduce that. You can do it. I
No,
already
no.
introduced you to the people and the entity and the work and everything else. You can do this now.
No. I'm just doing my regular education. So I'm just going to leave it at it, and I'm going to say that both you and me are doing education all across the world. So this is just one of those assignments when I'm off and trying to teach people to do something.
How's that working out for you?
I don't know. I'm going to ask people.
Well, we're going to see on the final survey, huh?
Yes, because from my perspective, it is completely fine.
Okay.
But it always is. But I want to talk to you about the things that we actually did last week, and the things that we are doing or you are doing right now, because you are right now doing the editing, cutting, and everything else.
Oh, man.
You are so much behind.
I'm not.
I don't. No. I think that it is disgraceful that you are unable to actually do editing of 9 hours of video in a single day.
Should I rant about that, or should I be polite?
No. I'm just going to say that I'm pulling your legs, not single leg, but all the legs.
Actually, let's meet halfway. Let's describe
Okay.
the process for a second. We did, for the purpose of being current and working with the company that we work for. They asked us politely to do a series of interviews and a long podcast episode about Microsoft's 50-year anniversary. Yay!
Let me just reiterate one thing. They asked us to do a long podcast episode, a single episode, and it was supposed to be long.
Yes.
How much video did we make?
Yeah, I was going into this.
Okay.
So the podcast episode is 2 hours 40 something, I think, which is already way above standard for us, unless we're talking about some of the first episodes that we did way back in the day. And then we also had 11 interviews. And the shortest interview is 20 minutes. The longest one is roughly 40. So it's a little bit over 5 hours of interviews and 2 hours and let's say 45 minutes of podcast episodes, which basically equates to 9 hours of video. And
isn't it 12 people, not 11?
I think it was 11. But
Okay.
if it's 12, yeah, it's okay. Who cares? And actually, without getting into long rants about the background and the process that got a little bit messed up and whatnot, and it still is. It is a bit messy to do these things when you're a little bit limited on resources, especially space. This is something I did video editing for the past 10 plus years. So I published probably a couple of hundreds of hours of edited video for education purposes. So roughly very similar to what we are doing in our podcast usually. But I've done zero editing and any kind of preparation and delivery of interviews. This is much more difficult, and it gave me a little bit of a more, let's say, new and renewed appreciation, which I already had for the people doing these things. Usually, the people sitting at the cameras and the switchers and the people handling the audio and all of that. So it gave me a little bit of a new perspective. But I think that's also something that we kind of discussed as our goals for the podcast in the future. We do need to get to a state at which there will be somebody who's doing the video editing for us. I already know who's going to do the audio. That's not a problem at all. And he's a pro at exactly that. So he does cartoons and movie editing and interviews editing and whatnot. He's done it for a decade plus, so he's going to do that very nicely. Actually, he offered me to help me to clean up all of the audio signals, which in this case was not easy because the room in which we were recording is super reverberating and really like echoey. That's a big
basically
problem.
like this one?
Yeah, but you are close enough, so that's a little bit different. And I'm supposed to finish this by Monday. That's the agreement. And yeah, I'm going to be able to do that, no problem, because the interviews are much more difficult to do editing for. The podcast episode that we do is 90% our standard podcast episode about talking about the topics that we usually are fluent with. In this case, it's going to be Microsoft history. And I'm going to make a lot of extra effort to introduce a little bit of interactivity, so to add some videos and clips and pictures of running operating systems of old and whatnot. I just want that to be a full, let's say,
and I
event.
wanted
But
to
this is for
here.
Yeah, but this is for the Croatian market. So
No, I'm fine. But I wanted to talk about this for a few reasons. One is the actual creative process behind it, because I must say that we did a wonderful job of trying to actually get the interviews running and do them in such a limited amount of time, because basically doing more than 5 interviews in a row is completely insane.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we pulled it off. But the other thing is that I wanted to talk about, because the video is about 50 years of Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to talk to you about a specific thing. And the specific thing is that, did you have fun creating all those virtual machines with Windows?
Yes, it was my Vedran goes back to early Linux days kind of situation.
So explain what you did.
Well, I can actually interject, or I could, let's say, add a couple of pictures in when I edit this. Not now, not now, not now. But basically, what I did was I deployed more than 10 different old operating systems by Microsoft, ranging from DOS 6.22 all the way to Windows 95, Windows 2.11, Windows 3.0, Windows 98, XP, NT. There's like, well, I can actually count. There's like more than 10 OSs available. I'm going to use some B-rolls from running them in our video as well. I had a lot of fun trying to force them to work, and actually most of them did work rather easily. There are some available archives for VMware-based virtual machines on archive.org, by the way. I downloaded those, and they are, let's say, a little bit more than half of those. They still needed a little bit of work, but not much. But some of them don't work. For example, the archive.org versions of the NTs do not work properly. So I had to deploy them from scratch, which was a lot of fun. I haven't done that in, 30 years or something. I think it's close to that. Yeah, but I was back in the groove in a second because it's like riding a bicycle. You never forget that because we did that many, many times over.
Yes, but it's not every day that you get to dial down the compatibility instead of trying to dial it up.
Actually, yes, you are correct in normal use cases, but I have years of experience of doing just that. I'm lucky enough. Because I have clients that require such configuration, so I did know kind of roughly what to expect. And I did make an effort months ago to do the same thing just for fun. I had no idea that we were going to do something like this, so it wasn't a part of the process. I even made some stuff like sound cards work on Windows 95, 95 OSR2, Windows Millennium, my favorite version of Windows, also runs happily in a VM. XP, SP3, whatnot. So there's quite a bit of these things. And yes, I definitely had a lot of fun.
Okay, to be completely honest, it's a miracle by itself that Windows ME is running anywhere.
Yes, hence my sarcasm.
Yes, but the thing is that you got it running, so it must be some kind of an achievement.
I don't rank it to be a high achievement for me. Yeah, I know what you're referring to. But I think I did bring you the archives of that, did I not?
Yes, but I didn't get to copy them.
Oh,
I have
okay.
I have the hard drive here, so it is ready. It is ready to get copied too. But it is going to take me to actually be at the same place as you to copy this thing. So it is going to get done, but not now.
Yeah, actually, what I was thinking in the future, we could do just for like it's a complete, let's say, for our eyes and pleasure, kind of mostly series of episodes about this. If we wanted to, it's not a problem. And I'm still heavily into making the episode 2 about my retro PC, which I'm working on as basically every week. So I'm going to come back to at least one or two of those OSs in that episode. But yeah, I had a lot of fun remembering how those operating systems used to work because they are they're like a roadmap to our IT childhoods in a sense.
Also, they actually enable you to actually understand what has changed and how it has changed in the last 30 odd years. Because we are talking about 50 years of Microsoft, but what we are talking about basically more or less is 40 years of Windows.
Yes, that's kind of like fits together very nicely as well. And there were some hits and misses on that journey. Everybody knows about that. I still had loads of fun trying to just kind of like going around these things like Windows 3 and 2, remembering how to shut them down. We talked about that in an episode as well.
It was, and Windows Server 2008 and so on.
But my fingers did that all on their own. I didn't really think about it, which is amazing having in mind that I haven't worked with Windows 3.0 from the 1990s, something like 1996 probably, or 7 at the latest.
Okay, so but to be completely honest, today I showed to people I was doing the education for, I showed them the Midnight Commander.
Yeah.
And I must say that more than half of the people in the room actually said, oh, Norton Commander is here.
Yeah. Norton Commander, Volkov Commander, Total Commander, and Midnight Commander, the branches of the same tree, are across these 40 years, basically utilities that I use on a daily basis. I use Total Commander today, and I showed on my side of the education story back home. I'm doing a class, and one of the students asked me about how to like graphically / textually move files around without it being CP, MV commands and whatnot. So I opened the world to the guy by saying, yeah, just install Midnight Commander and enjoy.
And I will say that one thing that I must say that actually was surprised me was that what Red Hat did is that not the commander, Midnight Commander, is actually part of the default installation. It's inside the course itself. It's in the default subscription, or no, in the default repository. So you can actually install it without connecting to the internet, and you don't need to download anything.
Yeah, unlike, for example, Joe, which they removed at Red Hat 6.
Yes, and
which I still am angry about.
Yes, this is one of those things where I actually have a problem with. But anyway,
somebody actually tried to play practical jokes on me yesterday. I didn't have time to tell you about this when I was replacing you on the course that you were supposed to do.
Okay,
they were trying to chat with me about who cares about Linux and Midnight Commander and Emacs. And I was like, do not touch a Midnight Commander or Emacs on my watch. And we had a lot of fun discussing this because it was somebody who obviously has knowledge about the history of Unix systems. So he, in this case, it was a he. He knows what he's talking about. He was just trying to, pull my legs
I'm
or fingers
completely
or
on his
whatnot.
side. If I had to choose, VI is better than Emacs.
I never liked Emacs, but they are
Me neither.
no sane person ever liked Emacs, but a lot of people use them, and they were a tool for a job at a time when such tool did not exist. You can kind of call it like the precursory to OpenOffice, or perhaps even some other applications that we still use
I would
today.
probably call it maybe a WordPerfect for what it
No,
was in
I
its
refuse
time.
that metaphor. WordPerfect was much too perfect compared to Emacs.
And this is one of those things where people actually don't know what to expect from you, because people who like Emacs is going to say that it's more or less the best thing that ever happened to everybody.
Mhm.
So I think that Emacs is one of those things. People actually like Emacs, and that's it.
I remember when I signed in for college, there were people, very successful people today, who are heavily into Unix still, who were swearing by Emacs for everything, for reading the news, for emailing, for editing. There were sub-applications in Emacs for that, it had browser. It was quite an elaborate system back in the day when such things did not exist at all. That's one of the reasons why I kind of liked it from afar, disliked it from close by, because it was too demanding on the hardware and especially memory and CPU in terms of how fast it ran. It was really slow on the machines that we used to use it on.
You mean Emacs?
Yes.
No, I didn't have the problem with this. My main problem is with Emacs is one thing. I never was the one who is going to learn about shortcuts.
Oh yeah.
I had a huge problem with trying to learn shortcuts, even for simple applications like Excel. And I must say that if there is no way to actually learn shortcuts while you're using the application, because almost all of them are basically either hidden or simply not shown anywhere. It's just a thing that it bothers me, so I don't want to go into more or less a hostile environment and then try to feel my way through.
Okay. While you're talking about Excel, I know a perfect way for you to get the grips with those shortcuts. We need to enroll you into a course which will prepare you for this super duper Excel World Championship that you talked about.
Did you take a look about the Excel World Championship? Yes, no?
Nope, but I trust you at your word, so yeah.
No, we are going to put the description in the description, but it needs to be done. It
Okay.
needs to be done. And people screaming about pivoting, it's just the thing that needs to be done. It's even more
Lord.
cringy than the developers rant from Microsoft.
Come on, don't dunk constantly on Microsoft and developers. Leave them alone.
No, I'm going to go and be completely honest and say that what I said at the end of the 9 hours of podcasting is that after all these years, I think that Microsoft did actually the best it could. And
Yes.
I don't know if any other company could have done it better. They have tried, but let's be completely honest. The only competitor when it comes to such a long development cycle with operating systems and everything else, when it comes to this actual market, is IBM.
Yes. And they are nowhere to be found on this
And they are
market.
nowhere to be found. And they managed to squander away the OS2 that they pretty much got cornered. The OS2 was actually a good operating system.
It wasn't good. It was better than everything Microsoft had at the time. But that actually, we did cover that in a set of episodes
Yes.
earlier. We made 2 episodes about OS2. It kind of makes me sad in a way that didn't work. The future would be much more, not only competitive, it perhaps would have been a little bit more interesting. I remember how you said that. You said to me a couple of times that there are certain operating systems which you like when they are boring.
Yes.
And I said the complete opposite. I like the launches to be flashy. I like new products. I like having a situation where a new operating system kind of like is flashy. It brings some new stuff in, like Windows 95, 98, those things. But nowadays it's just like, there's a new version of Windows. Meh.
It's not that only this, but the thing is that the core operating system features are more or less done.
Yep.
We are more or less there. We know what needs to be done when you say, I need an operating system, because what you actually need is something that's going to be able to do multitasking, multi-threading. It should be compatible with some applications. It should look more or less nice, and it should follow some rules. And that's it. And since bundling everything and then some and the sync with the operating system doesn't make any more sense right now, what is happening is that you just cannot create anything new. For the time being, since we decided we are not going to switch into web applications, because Microsoft is, to be completely honest, not that much into web applications anymore. What they did is they created a couple of applications like Office 365, which is fine, but they are not invested in trying to create new applications. The only application that right now is getting an amazing amount of new things, and I must say this with great regret, is Teams. Because the thing, I was yesterday I was doing something and I was switching to Teams and I was opening the application tab in Teams. There is some amazing things there.
Yep.
Okay, almost all of them require at least a gigabyte of memory. But the thing is that it actually is a place where you can actually see playfulness. You can see somebody creating something that is out of the ordinary for the regular business use.
I can actually give you an example of a product that Microsoft recently bought with the company that they bought, integrated with some of their tools, which is something that we are going to have to talk about in the future because it's playful as hell.
Which one?
Clipchamp.
I have zero idea what you're talking about.
Clipchamp is basically everything that you need from a Zencaster to record videos and whatnot. And then it has speech to text, text to speech. It can do transcripts for you and many, 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 many other things. And it has a simple interface. It's not a web application unless you want it to. There's like a regular application that you can run and a web-based version. It is a very, very cool application that we are going to have to look into in the future. It's a video editor. It can do cut paste. You can do video editing in it as well. Automatic captions, resizing of the videos, noise suppression, auto cutting features with AI, which we severely lack in a lot of the video editing software that we are using nowadays, apart from the latest revision of DaVinci Resolve, which was announced a couple of days ago, actually. And it is something that I know we're going to have to do an episode about this, maybe from an educational standpoint or something. Maybe we'll ask our colleague Zoran to do it because he recommended it for us. I'm going to probably, make him suffer and do another episode, just like he did with a series of Moodle episodes.
Just one question. Does it work on Mac?
You can use it on in Mac, I think, from the web version, if I'm not mistaken. But I would have to check. I really didn't have the time to play with it, but from what I could see, because of the reasons that our colleague mentioned, which are related to our education process and recording the videos for it, I think it's going to be our go-to application for that, for a variety of reasons that don't become as obvious until you try to do some things. Basically, if I can just add another example, which I was forced to do in one of the interviews, doesn't really matter which one. We are at the end of the day talking to normal people. We had a lot of fun discussing things with them, and sometimes you just forget to do certain things. So there were some problems with the sound and whatnot when we were recording last week, and I had to do a little bit of denoising. I had to do a lot of equalization, but one specific instance that required me to do a de-reverberation process. I know it sounds wacky, but there are plugins for that, and there are studios using them, and they work really well. I have a couple actually, which I bought. But there's also a set of standalone applications which you can use for that, which are very, very decent, especially having in mind that they're free. For example, I used a application called the WavePad Sound Editor, which has a denoiser and a de-reverberator, which works really well and very easy to use, even for newbies. Now you don't have to be a producer level, like a person like you can treat me as that. But I found this application to be something very easy to use.
But the thing is that a lot of the in the last couple of years, it's not only AI. The quality of the most complex applications has gone up.
Yes, after a long period of doing nothing.
Yes, because what has happened is that a lot of applications and a lot of different solutions are getting and solving problems that weren't able to be solved a couple of years before. Because you remember when we were doing the magazines,
yes,
and we were doing a lot of editing, or people who were working for us were doing a lot of editing for the images for the magazines.
yes.
Do you remember how much time was spent trying to cut the components out of the backgrounds, which is basically something that you just say right now, can say to Photoshop, okay, I need this cut out from the background, this is it. You can script it.
I spend a limitless amount of time watching people do that in our office back in the day. And I'm not talking about people who are newbies. We're talking about hardcore pros who used to do that in your magazine as well, I'm sure. And they used to have to trace everything. You know how that's done. It's a standardized procedure. And first, we were always very inclined to try to take a perfect shot, which is difficult enough. Sometimes we had to do it outside of the office. Sometimes, mostly, it was in the office. But taking pictures of hardware with a lot of shiny details and metal and whatnot, and glass details or whatnot, is never easy. And then, the light, the brightness, the color grading, and the tracing that you mentioned, removing stuff from the picture and whatnot, everything recorded on a green screen, and then adding extra bits by using green screen and whatnot. I was always appreciative of what they do, although I always treated them as too slow nowadays. Many years later, I not actually understand that it was much more difficult back in the day.
Yes, but the thing was that they had to do something like 300, 400 images each or more for each
so that you
issue.
Can select, yes.
Yes. So no. I was the image that is selected. Mm-hmm. Because if you wanted to create, for example, I don't know, a main image and then a couple of images for each device, and you had 100 devices, this is 300 images.
Yeah.
So even after they have been selected, they had to do a lot of post processing, and now this can be basically done with the script.
Yeah, you can basically script that. Just say remove this and that. Bye.
Yes, remove the background, denoise it, remove the reflections, and that's it. And what's even worse, you can actually describe what you want to do.
Yeah. This is something that I'm going to invest time in the next period, not right now, but unlike the last summer when I wanted to start learning how to use DaVinci Resolve deeply because I do have a license. This year I'm actually going to do it because this tool is probably able to relieve the burden that I have in terms of the editing by at least 50% in the latest revision after I saw the list of stuff that they've added. And they already had some kind of an AI engine in the previous version as well. Furthermore, I think that there will be some other changes happening in the streaming industry very quickly. They just announced the new version of the ATEM. I don't know if you noticed this
Yes,
or
I
not.
saw. I saw you screaming about XLRs and being able to actually transport the audio.
Yeah, because I mean, ATEMs are cool. The small or the bigger ones that we used to use, the Mini Pros, the Mini Pro ISOs, and the Extreme versions, but they always had a couple of really, really annoying, niggly little bits. And the first one was audio always, because
And the thing that no, no,
audio is unbalanced. That's the first and the biggest problem.
but the thing that what you are dealing with and your problem right now with ATEM is not this. Your problem is that they used to be basically the lowest possible solution, the lowest price solution for creating something that can be called semi-professional video.
Correct.
And when they decided to do things like this, what they actually had to do is they had to eliminate some things. And the balanced audio is something that they pretty much got away with, simply because people who are doing non-professional audio work don't have balanced data sources or audio sources.
No, they just use the roads that you have, and I have as well, directly connected to the ATEM, and everything is fine. But this is, I'm trying to basically create a professional workflow with a semi-professional type of device. I understand that,
The
but
thing is that they
we
pushed
overcame that easily.
no. But what was
Just
happening is that they actually pushed people into buying more equipment, and this equipment got more sophisticated. Because
yeah,
right now, if you want to buy a balanced microphone, if you want to buy a decent microphone,
every microphone is balanced, man.
yes, but if you want to buy a microphone that has a balanced output, it is not that you need to spend huge amounts of money.
hmm
It used to be that it was a couple of hundred of euros. Now it's more like 50.
Yeah, it's much more reachable. But actually, having those two XLR inputs, that's just one part of the equation. I like many more things that they added.
Yes,
First,
the third HDMI.
the third HDMI output is hugely useful, but there is something even more useful for live streaming that they added, which is Thunderbolt.
Okay.
Because if you wanted to do some kind of let's say keys, if you want to add lower thirds or overlays or whatnot, you always had to use at least two inputs for that in the older ATEMs. There was no way around this. And nowadays they have streams coming as inputs and outputs video that you can now use, and you can do the keys no problem. You can do your overlays or whatnot directly from the computer, and they kind of connected that to DaVinci Resolve's playback function as well, which for amateur sport type of podcasts or something like that that doesn't not necessarily NBA, but there are a lot of smaller leagues that will really like those features that they added on top of some of the features that kind of creeped down from the higher levels of their ranges, like they have Dante audio now coming in as well. Like that, yeah, I like that a lot. There are things that make sense, and the only thing that's bothering me is the price, because it's quite a bit more expensive than what they used to do. But you know what we're going to do? We're just going to sell all of our smaller items, buy a big one or two, and we're done.
No. What we are going to do is we are going to find a sponsor that is going to sponsor us with all the equipment that we need.
Oh, but that's also another way to do it. Yes.
Because what I need to find a sponsor for us. You need to buy a guitar. We need to do some serious microphone work, and we need a person who is going to be the editors for the audio and for the audio video.
thank you for promoting everything that you just did, and thank you for mentioning my guitars. But thank you very much. I have plenty of them. I don't have any intention of buying more of them anytime soon.
No. The idea is not you buying one.
Okay, you're getting
This
one.
is the yes. The idea is you getting one because of the podcast.
Oh, man.
So that you cannot just sell it because it is going to have emotional value for you.
I sold the sum total of 2 guitars in my life, which I bought, and I bought the higher end versions of both of those. So it's like I didn't sell them at all. Actually, if I can add one more thing, which I really like, 2 more things actually, which I really like about the new
Yes.
ATEM. It has a 6.3 millimeter headphone output as well.
Oh, great.
This is something that a lot of people have asked for. And one more thing, they added the capability to record direct to media, and they did it by CF Express slot. So
Okay.
the old devices had none of those. You had to record to disk and use USB-C.
And
This is
it was less than satisfactory when recording to USB-C.
yes, there were a lot of compatibility issues, even with the disks that are on the compatibility list, which, to be fair, has gotten much better with some of the latest firmware updates. I have to be fair there as well.
Okay, but we have to actually face the truth and say that it's not the same if you're using a single card or you're using an SSD, because SSD is way more power hungry, and it requires much more power and it requires much more processing in order to do the recording correctly. So the card itself is much more stable medium when it comes to recording video.
They added 10G. They have 2 network ports now. One is gigabit, one is 10G as well. So they worked heavily on this one. What I would like to see is with something that we won't see for quite a while, I think, in the future, which would be the 4K version of this.
I think that the only thing that they're actually missing is they need the microphone array and the pop-up camera. So that they actually get away with just simply replacing the entirety of the workflow with a single unit.
You are being universal right now.
No, but I'm actually seeing that somebody is going to come up with this. It's going to be probably be something like a podcaster audio mixer that you're using, and it probably can just be. It can probably just integrate 2 cameras so that you can actually record 2 hosts at the same time. And what else do you need? You basically need microphones. That's it.
I mean, you do realize that this device is 2 times more expensive than the extreme version, the current one.
Yes.
Literally 2 times more expensive.
So there is still room to improve.
I like your optimism of a much younger apprentice, of not really being a much younger apprentice.
Yes, let's see who wrote first. But anyways, I like the idea of you being actually happy about the new device, which is something that hasn't happened in a while.
Oh yes,
We need
I'm
to.
happy,
We
very
need,
very happy with the production of my second album as well.
you know that we have a huge right now. The huge thing that is not happening is that for the Stream Decks, there are no new. I saw that there is a new version, but what I'm actually missing is that I was expecting that there is going to be a lot of knockoffs, and there is going to be a lot of cheap versions of Stream Decks.
There were quite a few.
Yes, but none of them actually got any traction in the market. I actually don't know why.
Because the Stream Decks are not expensive. They're very programmable. There are different sizes, including the rec one, and the LEDs that it has and everything. The interface is really good.
It's pretty
Very easy to
expensive. And it is
configure.
pretty expensive.
Yeah, I don't think that the smaller ones are not necessarily expensive. It's really not a thing, and most people bought them when they came out. No reason to replace them because they're really good.
Yes.
As long as you learn how to use the BitFocus companion, you're going to be happy.
Yes, but the thing is that I didn't quite get to it, because the thing is that I'm rarely having to mix anything, so I'm more or less stuck with not having to actually move stuff around. And Right now, my biggest thing that I'm going to probably invest in is going to be a way of actually being able to mount the camera on my laptop so that I can do stuff like this without having to resort to external mounts. I want to have a mount for the camera or the iPhone,
Okay.
and to be able to actually not use the stand. Right
Okay.
now, I'm using a stand for the phone itself, which is not bad, but it's not ideal because I am missing the ability to adjust the height of the phone. Although there is a strange thing that I'm completely amazed by, and this is that the phone itself is straightening out the picture.
Okay.
And this makes life so much easier.
Can I give you two suggestions?
Yes.
Because there are two solutions that you can easily use that solve those problems for you.
Okay, go.
The first one is OBSBot Meet 2. I have
Okay.
it for that purpose. It's picture perfect.
Okay.
The second one, which is a little bit larger than this, I'm not sure how it would fit on a laptop, although it's marketed with said approach as the main thing, the main selling point, is OBSBot Tiny SE. I
Okay.
don't have that one, but I do have the Meet version, which is the size of, let's say, you remember those the size of a box for matches.
Yes, but I have a Meet.
Yeah, you
I
bought
don't
it
know
as
if
well
it's
when I
Meet
did.
too. Yes.
That one can fit on your laptop easily on the screen, and it's really, really good. So you already have a solution for a problem. Stop browsing the Chinese sites.
No. I'm not right now waiting to see what is going to happen because I have a sneaky suspicion that there is going to be a price reduction when it comes to Chinese sites, since they are going to have to do something with the stock.
Okay.
Because the insanity that is tariffs as we speak right now in this moment in time means that they are basically not able to sell anything in the United States.
Yep.
So either something is going to change or they're going to have to switch over to selling to EU, which I'm completely fine with.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what's going to happen. And to be quite frank, at this point, I try to care as less as possible because I don't need that drama. What's going to happen is going to happen, and let's move on from that.
From somebody who actually wanted to follow this thing through, I'm just going to say one more thing. I'm completely exhausted with trying to keep up with something that doesn't make any sense. So even I gave up because it's like trying to predict the rain.
What you are is the undisputed king of unnecessary information.
Yes, yes, it could be, but the thing is that at the same time, as I said, I don't think that predicting the rain is much more different than trying to understand what is happening right now. So I'm simply going to go with I don't care, and for the first time in a while, I'm just going to go with why should you? I'm not
Yeah.
going to try to help you to understand something. So I do have a Meet. The Meet is fine. The thing is that I'm trying to minimize the amount of devices that I'm taking with me.
Okay.
So I want to have something that's going to be a clip to connect my phone to my laptop, and it's going to probably be it.
Okay. I have a suggestion.
Yes.
Let's wrap this up because your internet
Yes.
connection is starting to break. Let's
Yes.
wrap this up while we still can. So we talked about him traveling, podcast equipment, new podcast equipment, Microsoft 50-year anniversary. We talked a lot of stuff. It was all
You
over the
being
place today.
you being the editor, and your we didn't mention your the second album.
Yeah, even that. Yeah, coming out
Yes.
soon in
So
English.
okay, great. I think that I'm going to do an album also.
Oh
I already
yes.
am. Yes, I'm already six songs in. So yes. But anyways, thank you for sticking with us. I'm going to be arriving at home in a couple of days, so I'll see you then, and I'll see you the rest of you guys and girls in the next episode.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us. I'm still Yasmin.
Yeah, I'm still Vedran, and we'll see each other in the next step. Bye.
Yes, thank you. Bye.